Hey folks, Duke CT here, back once again. This is a video response to Dot Pepper Classic. This video, the Daniel Bryan problem. Now, I'm going to say this right now. The reason why people are cheering guys like Daniel Bryan or Randy Orton and everything else is because, well, the WWE doesn't really have a good job of projecting, bringing up real good face characters. For example, look at Randy Orton. The reason why people cheered him on because it was the last three. Because people were actually going to jump on Cody. Remember, it was when there was whole legacy and everything else, Randy Orton RKO'd his dad, people were cheering Cody, Cody, Cody. And they dubbed with Cena, which was so stupid, or what have you. And they didn't do anything with him. They did something, and Ted, people got behind Ted, like Ted DiBiase, yeah, Ted DiBiase Jr., everything else, yeah, and they fizzled on that. The WWE fizzled, and they stowed on it. They sat on it too long, and fans just picked Randy Orton because, well, they like the RKO. That's why. It's not. People. It's not honestly. It's the WWE's own fault. They basically put these guys. They put these guys in their situations that that when they punish people who get a connection with the crowd. Look at Alex Riley, A-Rod. After his big joint with the Miz, he got a huge connection. People started cheering him and everything else. And he challenged Dolph Ziggler for a couple times for the U.S. Championship, and he just faded away. He's somewhere on NXT, fighting in the main event of NXT with Yoshitatsu, another guy they just really dropping the ball with. And superstars, including the Usos. Seriously, there's no real crowd reaction to the Usos, Primo and Epico. Let's see, who else? And everything else, because they're not. They're on screen, but they don't get time to develop their characters. They don't have anyone else talk about them. There's no real reason why to care about them. There's a reason why people cheering these guys, because they care about them. They care about Ziggler. They care about these guys. And the WWE, instead of fostering that and say, hey, maybe these guys should be put up, like booed or cheered or what have you. Instead, they punish it. You said Ted DiBiase would be loved. No. Someone like Ted DiBiase back in the day. Ted DiBiase. And I'm talking about Ted DiBiase Jr., him and his Ted Posse, what have you. Talking about the 80s guy. The guy back in the 80s and everything else. Honestly, someone like him would not make it today because the WWE would have probably cut his knees off first second he got. They would have probably cut the knees off of him. They would have cut the knees off of him. They would probably cut the knees off of Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, all these guys. They had risks. The reason why they look back in the day, people had connecting, cheering, and booing everyone else's 80s and 90s or what have you in the 2000s. It was competition. Competition made the WWE. They had to be better. They had to make choices. They had to get people who are connected with the crowd and everything else. They didn't push everybody. They didn't push everyone. But they had their certain few. They had their guys and everything. And they were successful. They were successful with that. They had a connection with the crowd. Someone like the Ultimate Warrior would not make it today. Not because he had a bad attitude, that would be more of a detriment, but he would not make it today because the WWE, let's all be honest, they don't really have, the crowd connection. His whole reaction and everything else is crowd connection. And they would have probably punished him for it. They would have punished him because, well, he's getting over too quickly. That's the problem. The WWE, they don't take lightning in the bottle when they go out and everything else. No, they try to crush it in and try to stemmy it. They try to stem it and then want them to grow their way and everything else. That's the main problem with the WWE right now. No one's really pushing them. And, you can look at it yourself. It's documented. It's real fact. It's just real. Let's all think about this. Actually, you look at the stuff when the WWE had real hardcore competition, that type of competition that makes you like, oh my goodness, I'm going to lose my job, what have you. They performed really well. They were like, man, we got to do this better. We got to do this better, that sort of thing. That was their main goal. They had to do better because if they didn't, they're out of the job. Now they have a monopoly, I don't see why they need to do better. I mean, Alex Riley getting over it? Nah, we can hold off on that, but we'll find something to do. Jack Swagger winning a world championship and Swan getting over? No, everything else? No. I'll just have him copy Chris Jericho and push him down to the card till he's completely irrelevant. Give him the United States Championship as a complete prop for a prop that he never can really defend, and have him lose it to another guy who to another person who was supposedly another comedy jobber like the one he lost it to. This is some prime problem with WWE. No competition. They have no competition. They're not letting people grow naturally with the audience. And that's where you see guys with the Daniel Bryan problem. And it hurts guys like, say, Del Rio and Shane. I'm going to probably talk about this about my WrestleMania review comes up after my Walking Tall stuff is everything. I'm going to talk to this in depth. You look at the April 2nd edition of Monday Night Raw, and you see when Sheamus came out, he got booed out of the arena. He's still getting booed out the arena. And Del Rio getting like the C chants and everything else, like yes, C, that sort of thing. It is the crowd basically rejecting them. And I felt bad for both of those guys, because those guys worked really hard to get where they're at. In previous outcasts and everything, especially Del Rio, who worked his ass off to get where he is. And the WWE does not know how to book these guys. They don't know how to book or presentate this guy. Del Rio is a guy who ran up came too far too fast. And Sheamus, same thing. And hence another problem with Sheamus, because Sheamus was not remarkable as champion. Both times. All Sheamus was basically a placeholder. He never really got connection with the crowd. He was the backstory. His first championship reign, the main story was Bret Hart and Vince McMahon, and John Cena and Batista. He was the backstory. When he was champion again, the main story, John Cena versus Nexus. And again, he was pushing behind and everything else. That's what happened to him. And then he loses the championship in a really anticlimactic way. And that 6-man cluster F. That's the main problem with the WWE at this point. Is that Sheamus or Del Rio or any one of those guys they push. Anyone they push is not really they're pushed like that. They want to make them the big stars, but they do it too quickly, too fast. Personally, I would have never had Sheamus win the WWE title. Heck, I wouldn't have him in the Royal Rumble and everything else. I still would have him win the Intercontinental U.S. Championship. Have Ziggler. I would have guys like Ziggler, Punk, Kingston. Maybe Kingston with a heel turn. Maybe that would spice us up personality-wise or give him an edge. Jack Swagger, who has been really mishandled once again. Randy Orton, John Cena. These guys, 6 guys, really rotating the main event. Those 3 guys, both for Raw and SmackDown. Kind of like how John Cena, Randy Orton, Edge, Triple H, Undertaker, Batista was the previous 5-10 years and everything else. You had that rotating through, and then you had guys like Sheamus built back up, and you have guys like that sort of thing. You build those guys up. That should have been a really better pace, but instead the WWE they just wasted time and wasted all that. They want to rush things and this, that, and the other, and that's why no one's really cheers Sheamus. That's why no one really cheers these guys, and don't really have a connection to them, because A, they don't have any personality, they don't have anything to really glob on and really root for them. And everything else like that. And 2, when you look at someone who's a lot more interesting and a lot more dynamic, let's say to Randy Orton, to 2 guys who are completely bland and really fought at WrestleMania, WrestleMania 26, and people really didn't care, or Daniel Bryan with this whole yes thing, and again, that stupid way they actually have him destroyed at WrestleMania 28, which I'm really going to go into why that was stupid in my review, which is going to be hopefully by the end of this month, what have you. Anyway, it just really frustrates me, because you have opportunity. WWE has the opportunity to do something really great with these young talents, and instead they BS, they bullshit. They bullshit around. They do all this type of stuff. They don't do anything that really will build to the future. It's all about right now. And even right now they're screwing up because people are rejecting guys like Sheamus. They're rejecting them. The crowd is rejecting them because they are tired of these corporate guys forcing their way. Not natural. They're not naturally built up to be in the main event. That is what the problem is. And until the WWE realizes that, they're gonna still get people are gonna still doing the yes chants. They're still gonna have people boo Sheamus. They're still gonna have guys not getting the whole full picture. They're not gonna get people who are gonna cheer. And the guys who are getting cheered, who are getting fans, like for example Alex Riley, who are still gonna be behind, the superstars are getting jobbed by Lord Tensai, who I think personally I like Tensai. I think he's pretty good. I don't know what your beef with him. I like him. But honestly, if you don't really have anything really, if you're not really presenting the crowd with anything interesting, again, it's not going to really help. You can tell people to boo and cheer all you and everything else, but at the end of the day, the WWE, the company itself, does not change. You can try to do everything you want as fans, but at the end of the day, it's on them. It's on the WWE to change. We just and people like us, the fans, can't help. We can either keep doing this whole delusion and everything else, saying we have to cheer for the good guy and boo the Daniel Bryan's or Dolph Ziggler or what have you. It doesn't work at the end. It is on it's on them. And until the WWE starts, and hopefully with Triple H coming into more power, they're going to realize they're saying, man, what the hell we've been doing, and actually start pulling back and say, okay, we're going to start pulling back. We're going to start, letting this stuff happen naturally, like what happened with him and The Rock and Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Roddy Piper, Ted DiBiase, Andre the Giant, that sort of stuff. Let that stuff happen naturally. The WWE will never really get. They will never really get. The WWE will never get the responses they really want. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Deucey Tier. Peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Later.